Hello and good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Mr. BoomStick XL, and I am here with the elusive gamer, aka Mr. Mass Effect, aka Jamie Moran. How are you feeling, kind sir? Again, we have a lot to get into, but we're going to open up the show talking about games. How you feeling?
Hey man, happy to be here. It's been a good week, lots of gaming. There's been too many releases. These companies need to chill.
Yes.
I've been going through like Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD, 2D
Saw that.
remake, Ninja Gaiden, Keeper, like too many games. The Outer
Mhm.
Worlds 2, which we're going to talk about, Arc Raiders, which is making me want to pull my hair out. But other than that, it's all good.
As you can see, we're missing one of the trio here, and that is Infinite Umbra, or should I say, Mr. Unreal Engine Umbra. He is having internet issues, and he's trying to get it worked out. So if we don't get him here today, usually when he misses a show for one reason or another, he tries to make an appearance on Breakfast with Boom. We'll see if he'll be able to join us or not. But again, no pressure on him. If his internet does get fixed before the end of the show, I would imagine he's going to pop in. But Jamie Moran, look, we have three really cool topics to get into. The first one, though, folks, is I want to talk about the Outer Worlds 2. I know you've heard me gush about it, but I haven't had an opportunity to get Jamie's opinion. Now, again, we were talking in the green. No. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to demand that you make time for one of Obsidian's absolute best RPGs I've ever played. Folks, look, the best compliment that I continue to give this, and the more I play it, the more it gives me those vibes. It is basically they took everything that was amazing about the Outer Worlds 1 and took all of the best parts of Fallout New Vegas, and bam, this is what you got. The choices that you have. Look, I'm going to say this right now, and I'm going to hand the microphone over because I'm sure you've heard me gush already, but I got to gush some more because I just crossed the 4-day and 12-hour mark in this game. I rolled credits after 75 hours, got an ending I did not expect to get. It was a damn good ending, to be honest with you. I don't know. And again, no spoilers, folks. Don't poke your ears or anything. I started seeing people in the community like Jamie, like Umbra, like Nico Muller playing. And I was like, I have Keeper, I got Ninja Gaiden, I got all these games, Double Dragon, Revive. I'm playing like 6 or 7 games, which is the cardinal sin for Mr. Boomstick XL. I said, you know what? I'm going to roll another character. And I did. And I want to say I'm in the second planet and I am finding things, weapons, special armor, helmets that do ridiculous awesomeness that I didn't find in my original playthrough. I found faction missions that I missed. I found just regular Johnny come lately, people that needed help them. It is one of my favorite games of the year. And honestly, as much as I love Avowed, and I absolutely adored Avowed, I think this is probably going to be my game of the year. Like, the more I play, the more I just cannot stop playing. I originally started in first person. After 10 hours, went to third person and have not been back. Third person, the close-up view, that over the shoulder, like that, almost like the PlayStation looking type of view where you get a real close-up of the character. That's what I'm playing on. I'm playing at 40 frames per second. I like the mix. I've tried it on 60. It was great. I didn't try it on 30 because I know 30 was going to be, it's going to look great, but it was going to run slow. So I said, you know what? I played Avowed at 40. I'm going to play this at 40. And I love the fact that they give you a 30, 40, and 60. I think it's brilliant. So I'm playing at the 40 FPS. It looks gorgeous. Folks, you've seen the pictures. I have not changed anything to the pictures. Those are literally screenshots taken directly from the Series X. And they're stunning. Look, I've talked enough, and I'm going to continue to talk about it. But Jamie Moran, we got to get your take on this. Again, folks, if you didn't know who Jamie Moran is, first of all, we'll get to why you should be subscribed to this channel later on. But this is the guy when it comes to sci-fi gaming. Jamie, take it away, brother. Let the audience know why you think they should play The Outer Worlds 2.
You know, I complain on a daily basis that there aren't enough sci-fi RPGs, and I feel like I'm that guy in that scene from Spaceballs where they come in the desert. That's me looking for sci-fi RPGs. They're next to non-existent, and I hate that. And this, it scratches that itch. My God, like I loved Devoured earlier this year, but to me, this is like levels above, multiple levels above. The presentation, everything about it. I'll get the performance stuff out the way first. I've gone back and forth between performance and quality. Little like long story short for people. If a game is 30, I'll roll my eyes and my eyes will just adjust after 30 seconds. You know, I get over it. It's not the end of the world for me. So like I was thinking, like, is the difference between quality and like is quality that much better? And like you can tell like the resolution's higher. However, I'm playing on performance mode. It looks fantastic. It performs fantastic. The world they have, and I'll say that they clearly took what worked in the first game and condensed it. They made it more focused. So if you take shocker, I'm about to use a Mass Effect reference. If you take Mass Effect 1, you know, it has some little bit of jank to it and stuff. But when Mass Effect 2 came out, they took everything that worked in that first game, refined it, condensed it. And then Mass Effect 2, it's one of the best games ever made. They've done the same thing with this. They've condensed everything that worked in the first game. They've got rid of all the fluff. By the way, over encumberment, not a thing.
Gone.
Not a thing. And like in Avowed, that wasn't really much of an issue because you could send things from your send things to your stash. But like in this, like thank God, I'm one of these people in games. I like to hoard crap, right? I hoard everything. I want to hoard everything. Everything I see, it's mine. But in this, it's not an issue, and I love that. The immersive sim elements. So there's a mission. This isn't really a spoiler for people. There's a mission where you have to get into a factory and turn off this poisonous gas. So I posted my clip of how I got into this room to turn off the gas, and people replied to me saying that they had no idea there was a vent that went underneath the floor to get into the room. Just like I love that in RPGs where you presented just a bunch of different options to get different things done. And I like that. And I'm still on the first planet. I'm just enjoying every minute of it. I found a guy that was clearly in distress, and I offered him a pistol, and he said no. He would prefer to have a grenade. Well, let's just say.
Oh my God, dude, that was freaking. Yeah. Did you hear what you're? What? See, this is the other thing. I don't mean to. I don't want to jump in, but the banter between you and your teammates, where they'll just blatantly say something. If you had the female in your party, she says something, bro, I busted out laughing like out loud. Oh, man.
It's legit funny, and you can tell the developers had fun with this game. When you first get into the main town of the first planet, there's a guy ranting in the middle of the street, and if you talk to him, it leads you to a side quest where you get a double jump, right? There's people that are going to play this entire game and not have double jump because they don't decide not to talk to this crazy person in the middle of the street. And I just love that. Like, I said earlier this year, I thought Avowed was brilliant. It had its problems, but like in this game, like you said, like the back and forth between the characters seem like very, I don't know, relaxed, human. There's something very likable about them, and they just nailed it. And I'm playing this game in third person mode. Wow, like
stunning.
Yeah, it's stunning. Like I'm sticking with the armor that you have in the first game, and there's these like tubes that hang from the suit. And when you move around, the tubes like swing around. It's a small detail, which I think is pretty cool. But man, like Obsidian absolutely nailed it. And I mean, will it be my game of the year? It's too early to say, but I will say this: I've had this sci-fi itch for a very long time. This is scratching it. The level design, the story, it's just leagues ahead of other stuff that's out right now in the same space. And there's not many games in that space, but man, like, it takes aspects of Fallout people like, it takes aspects of the Outer Worlds people like, and just smashes it together, and it just works. By the way, I had to post about this the other day because in the Outer Worlds 2 marketing, they don't really advertise that it is third person, or you have the option to play it in third person. And there is an option in the settings to play it in third person or third person far. But if you want to change on the fly, you just hold down the back button.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's such a useful thing because, like, if you want a wider field of view to see around corners, to like sort of like dodge some enemies, like, it's so useful. But the game doesn't really tell you that. And I think that, like, look, I've never really stopped myself from playing a game because it's either first person or third person. But the second I told people you could play this in third person and showed third person gameplay, people's eyes clearly lit up like a bloody Christmas tree.
Yes.
Because, like, yeah, some people do have their preference, but man, in third person, this game just looks good. The lighting is great. The CGI, or I'll call it pre-rendered cutscenes in the game, that look phenomenal.
Yeah.
When the game opens up after the prologue, they just have this really cool universe, and they've clearly expanded on what worked in the first game. And like I was saying, the immersive sim elements, my God, not enough games have immersive sim elements, and I just like that in this game. There's more craft. Everything's condensed, like I said. Like, crafting is easier, modding your weapons is easier. Everything about it. Like, Obsidian have a hit on their hands, and the fact that people are going out their way to try and crap on this game, even though they haven't played it, they aren't gamers, right? This game is legitimate, like, genuinely good. Now, even though I'm on the first planet, I will say it should be in the Game of the Year conversation, because
100%.
It's just great. It's really great, and I think gaming we need more games like this, man. We get one Fallout game every decade if we're lucky now. RPGs like this come along once every 5 years. So, yeah, I think people are going to have fun with this one. And by the way, the gadgets, right? You get a gadget early on that lets you basically spray acid onto carcasses. So, like, if you're playing around in stealth and you don't want these bodies to get found, doesn't matter. You spray them with acid, no one will ever know.
Gone.
And it's so cool. There's a little robot factory which I was told to clear out because these robots had been, attacking the town. It's the first bounty you can do.
Yes.
Well, you could fight this entire battalion of robots, or if you have the engineering stat leveled up to 2, you can just turn them all off.
Yes.
Right
in the back. If you go to the back of the plant that they're in, you can just literally switch them off, and you get boom, go get your bounty. It's crazy.
And like, there's a part where you have to get through like some poisonous gas, and I had the shield that would help me get through it, but like, I saw some like collectibles, and I was like, oh, I want to get these. And I must have tried about 10 times to get through this poisonous gas, and I just had to keep on loading my save. And then I noticed there was a switch that lets you clear out the gas. Yeah. So I was like, okay, that's good. But yeah, it's genuinely brilliant. If people are fans of RPGs, Fallout, if anything, I'd say it's more like Fallout than the Outer Worlds 1.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just, like I said, condensed. Very good. And by the way, I'm one of these people, when I play role-playing games, I hoard XP points, right, or skill points. Like yesterday, I noticed I had 9 skill points. I was like, I should put these into something. Turns out lockpicking and engineering, those are good choices.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, there's these things called I can't remember the name of them. They're kind of like anti-perks. So if you do,
they really are anti-perks because they're all bad choices.
Yeah, and I absolutely love it. I don't know why more games don't do this. So there's these anti-perks, we'll call them, where if you do certain actions for X amount of time, you'll get this pop-up on screen that'll say flaws. Thank you, flaws.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Rick, and Big Mad Mo and Music 72. Thank you.
So like, I'm sneaking around a lot. I'm crouching. So this thing popped up saying you have bad knees, right? And it's like, if you decide to keep this flaw, you'll be able to crouch faster. However, the flaw is people will be able to hear you within 10 meters.
Yes, to be able to hear you creeping. Yeah, crazy.
And another one, which I think people should pick this one. It's overuse of ammo or whatever it's called. Basically, if your ammo clip empties, you basically do 40% less damage. However, if you never empty a magazine, you never have to deal with that, and you also have 50% ammo. You can carry 50% more ammo in a clip.
Yes.
So if you never
took that in my first playthrough. Yes.
Yeah, that's the first one I selected. If you stare at the sun for too much time, you'll get cataracts. Just stuff like that. It's very good. It's very good. I think that if people have been looking for just something different, like a role-playing game like this doesn't come along often, and it being sci-fi, of course, I'm a little bit biased, but my God, it scratches that itch.
You know what? One thing you did mention that before we get into our topic number 2, and I see we got a couple of trolls in here. Trolls, listen, you're welcome to hang out in the Xbox podcast. But if you continue to poke, the bear is going to ban you. And it may not even be me, because I got 3 screens open, so sometimes I miss some of them. It's the Ninja Lethal Papa. He doesn't say very much, but he carries a very, very big band stick. So if you're here to be an asshole, stop. Just come here, hang out, and enjoy us talking about video games. It's supposed to be fun. We're not console warring, so you shouldn't either. But I do, Jamie, can we talk about the gunplay? Can we talk about how freaking amazing the gunplay is? And I can tell you, folks, I played about, I want to say 12-ish hours in first person. Gunplay amazing. But the gunplay in third person, especially the up close part, is brilliant. Now there are multiple ways. You just use the reticle on the screen and shoot away, or you can, get scopes on your joints. And look, there is a gun that is it's one of 20 special guns in the game. I found it in my first playthrough. I know where it is now, and it's called the Last Whisper. It is a silenced shotgun that holds, I think, 8 or 12 rounds, and it's plasma based, where like when you point the reticle at somebody, it'll tell you how much damage is going to be. And if the whole thing is filled up in purple, that means that they're melted. The bodies get melted. That's it. There's no evidence. I mean, there's a pile where you can go pick up their stuff, but after that, no one's going to find them. The gunplay. Now, we had heard about this, Jamie. I think you and I might have even spoken about it, where there was conversation that Halo Studios gave them some tips on the gunplay. They actually got some info, some, I guess, help, or from other studios, and the shooting mechanics. I don't want to say they feel exactly like Infinite, but they are absolutely great. And you know something? Take the time to mod these things. Like, you'll find weapons that are modded. Usually they come with one, unless they're a gold weapon. And then sometimes they're all modded out already. And those are rare. Those are super rare. But if you find a gun you really like, mod that thing. And you can like, if you pick something like, for instance, like you pick the 2.5 scope, and you're like, I don't like that because it's too far away. You want the 1.5, you can just, mod over it. You just lose the 2.5, which is fine, because you're going to get what you want. Take the time to learn the weapon. Take the time to mod these weapons, because it really does make a difference. I have this. It's not a sniper rifle. It's more. It's like a bolt action rifle that I'm using. And originally it had like 76 damage. And it said that when I found a mod that said, that gives me, it shoots 3 rounds at once. Like boom, 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 quick. And then the other, you can do it again. And it gave me a 76 times 3 damage when I modded it. And I was like, what? Oh my God, this is incredible. Take the time to mod. Let's get your thoughts on the gunplay, which I think is leaps and bounds better than the original.
Yeah, the gunplay is way better than the original. Like, if you played the original, you're like, okay, this is a first-person RPG with gunplay combat. Cool. But this feels like it's a genuine first-person shooter if you want to play first person. That happens to be an RPG. If you play in third person, and if you're like me, I love the triple barrel shotgun. That thing just pops. And if you play in third person, there's these big mechs you fight early on, and I just found it useful that you can like run and slide in this game, and as you slide, you can turn the camera around and fire behind you. And I just thought you would never have thought they'd put something like that in the original. Yeah, no, we're not talking spoilers, but just gameplay stuff. Like
No
I love,
spoilers.
yeah,
Zero.
yeah, I love Fallout. Right, Fallout, amazing franchise, but we can all agree the gameplay in 3 in New Vegas, it's not particularly the most finest thing, especially in third person. Um, but in the Outer Worlds 2, like the gameplay is just on point. Um, and like the scopes, like if you play in third person and you have like a scoped rifle, you hold down the left trigger, it aims down the scope. Like just stuff like that that we do see in other games, but have that in an RPG like this. I think that's just so good. I just love the gameplay. If you have the double jump and the slide mixed with like powerful weapons and stuff, you can see that there's been some influence by some other Xbox game studios in there, because Obsidian, they make really good stories, really interesting characters and interesting worlds. I'd say that they don't know how to make good gameplay in the past when it comes to combat with guns. This changes that. And honestly, I think this makes Obsidian. Um, I should say this makes Microsoft. They should make Microsoft look at Obsidian and think they need to make a Fallout game.
Indeed.
Like this gameplay, this sort of immersive sim game design and level design. Like they need to make a Fallout game. It doesn't need to be a huge, massive open world game. It could be anything Fallout. And hell, whatever. Outer Worlds 3, 4, 5, 6. Like I want to see them make more RPGs like this with gunplay. But man, they absolutely nailed this. And hats off to them. And for people that don't really play RPGs that much, I'd argue to say that this is actually a good game for them to jump into. You know, put it on easier difficulty or harder, depending on what your combat's like, and just breeze your way through conversations. And this game, even though there are dialogue choices linked behind certain skills, I'd say that it's not really dependent on them as much as like Fallout, having to deal with charisma. In this game, you
Mm-hmm.
just need certain stats, which I think is really cool. And it tells you how many points you need for each thing. So, yeah, they absolutely nailed it across the board.
I mean, listen, look, we've been gushing for the last, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. This is a game that is probably not going to get into the game of the year for RPGs. The main game of the year from Keeley's, because it's just a stacked year. But I gotta tell you, folks, this is one of those games like Jamie that said earlier, that does not come around this often. I actually said it when I said I rolled credits. I was actually sad that I rolled credits. And then of course I had elation once again, because I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna roll another character. And that's all I've been playing. And this is how you know a game gets boom. When I'm up, like, okay, so Mrs. Boom and we go to bed. She's got to get up early for work every day. This is my work, and plus whatever I do in the gym, and the chores I do for the house. That's my job because I'm retired. But I have been getting up almost every evening, like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and I'm about to turn over. I'm like, I can get an hour, maybe two. The other night, Jamie, I get up at 6 every day of the week. I stayed up till 5. 5 o'clock. I got up at 12 something and just could not put this game down. And that was in my second run. Like, I am going and looking at every nook and cranny. There is a lot to miss. The double jump that he's talking about is an actual gadget that you can totally miss. Like, you could literally go miss this mission because you got to talk to people. and they're like, oh, this and this is happening in this town, but this person is missing. Could you look for them? Oh yeah, sure, I'll look for them, whatever. But you could be like an a-hole and be like, hey, what's in it for me? Well, I'll give you credits if you find it. Okay, great. You can totally not go to this mission and not have double jump. And that double jump is key, especially later when you got to get to certain things. It makes getting to certain things so much easier. And it's just one of those things. And Toon Medic knows what we're talking about because that's a funny quest. It is. It opens up and you're just like you're taken aback when the mission starts. You're like, oh my God, what just happened? It's brilliant. It's just brilliant. It really is. Look, I know we've had some trolls and folks, like I said, Lethal Papa carrying carrying a big stick but walking very silently. They've been banned, so don't worry about it. They won't be back unless they they have multiple names, and sometimes they do, but they're gone. It's funny to me though, Jamie, when we're here, we're being positive, we're having fun, we're smiling, we're laughing, we're interacting with the community. And someone's got to come in and like, yeah, but all of those games, no games of the year.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ, dude. Like, honestly, are you 12?
Yeah, I've got to speak on this, right?
Please,
so the other day,
man.
I put out a post on Twitter saying, like, look, too many people focus on negativity. Every post they make is about negativity. So I have an experiment for 1 week. Just post about what you like. And I had multiple replies to this post saying, well, why don't you do that, Jamie? Proving my point. Every single post I make on Twitter is positive.
It's positive. Yeah, he's more positive than even me. And I'm Mr. Positive, so it's crazy.
These people thought they had a Uno reverse card moment on me because, why don't you do
what
God,
you almost made me choke.
I practice what I bloody preach. Look, I don't care if the Outer Worlds wins Game of the Year. I don't care.
Right.
If anything, I've been saying all year, and even before the game came out, that I think Expedition 33 is going to win. Right?
It probably is.
In fact,
honestly.
Last year, I was one of the few people beating the drum saying Expedition 33 is going to be special. And do you know what I got to every single reply? It's a AA game, Jamie. Nobody cares about turn-based games, Jamie. Right? Yeah. I had that every single time I posted.
You should have saved those receipts, sir.
Yeah, I might look for them, but the fact that I posted about that game saying, are people really going to find this game interesting? And people want to crap on it because it's a AA game. And like, look, I don't get why so many people are hung up on the Outer World, the Game Awards being the end all and be all of all game awards.
It's not the facto awards. It's a big part of the year, sure, but it's not the end all of awards.
Yes. And like look, they have a cutoff date in November. Indiana Jones missed out last year, and that's my game of the year. I don't care what wins. Like, look, the Jeff Keighley Game Awards is a very well done show. I think he's improved the show over the years, but people can't act like, oh, this one game wins here, that means it's the best game overall. Who cares, man? Like, I really don't care. It's of course it's great seeing a game that you really enjoy win some awards. But man, people just get so obsessed with this stuff. I've posted many times in the past saying, oh, I'm recommending this certain video game. It's on sale. Go play it. It was my game of the year, X and X year. And I always get replies saying, no, Jamie, that wasn't game of the year. Shut the hell up, right? Stop it, right? People are so obsessed with this stuff. Like, look, what was up for game of the year last year? Balatro, right? A Balatro, I think, was made by like one person. It's a card game, right? Everyone that craps on indie games, everyone that craps on AA games year round, if that won Game of the Year, right, that game would have been praised by these people just because of a shiny little award, right? Jeff Keighley Game Awards, I'm sure it's going to be a good show, but let's be honest, people watch for the trailers. They don't watch for the awards. And it's the only award show that I can think of in recent memory where, hey, we have like 50 awards to give out during the show, but we're actually going to give away 10 awards before the show starts. And we're not even going to give most of the awards on stage, right? So what are we praising? Are we watching this Game Awards show, pretend it's the best thing ever because of the awards or because of the trailers? It's because of the trailers, right? If anything, the BAFTA Game Awards is more prestigious and they have no games to show other than getting developers on stage talking about the game, giving them an award, right? I always say this Game of the Year crap being mentioned all the time, every time someone's enjoying a game. Who cares, right? Like, I'm sure it goes to your tie or whatever. Is this person's Game of the Year? Doesn't matter if it wins or not. But yeah, I'm just sick and tired of this over obsession with the Jeff Keighley Game Awards. And if a game is out, like, look, that Donkey Kong game that came out on the Switch too, that's probably going to be a bunch of people's Game of the Year, and that's perfectly
It's phenomenal.
fine.
It's a phenomenal game.
And like, look, it doesn't look like it's my cup of tea, but if people like it, that's cool. But man, like the amount of people that so obsessed with this stuff, like, look, what's regarded as one of the best games of all time, Red Dead Redemption 2. Did that win Game of the Year came out? No, it didn't. Is it the game that people talk most about from that year? Yes. People need to stop obsessing with this awards crap. It doesn't matter.
No, I mean, listen, again, it's just the Game Awards. It's a big deal. Honestly, I think it's a big deal. But it's not the end all, ladies and gentlemen. It's just not. But look, at the end of the year, we'll see who's reign. I honestly think that Expedition 33 is going to sweep the awards. You might get Silk Song in there to win a few. You might get one or two other, smaller indie darlings to get in there. But I think ultimately, even in the big spaces, Expedition 33 is just going to wipe the floor with everybody. It's a special game, and it's special in so many ways. The story behind it, how they found the voice actors, how they figured out the music there is so many special stories. And sadly enough, I'm only about 10 hours into that game, and I just never went back. And I have to get to it at some point, because everyone I talk to is like, oh, the end of chapter 1 is life-changing, and the end of chapter 3 is even more. I want to experience all of this. I mean, I bought the game. I didn't just play it at a game. I wanted to support the studio because of their story is just brilliant. If you just take and you listen to how they found the people to do the voice acting and the music, and look, it shouldn't exist, number one, and this game has no right to be as good as it is, but somehow the gaming magic just worked. This is something special. This is something that does not come along very often. I think it's going to just run the gambit, as it should win all of these awards. But again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out and allowing Jamie and I to gush over Obsidian's The Outer Worlds 2. And hey, Umbra, listen, this is great. We were literally just about to go into the next topic, but here you are, Infinite Umbra, or should I say the Unreal Umbra. How are you feeling, sir?
Oh, I'm feeling all right. I'm feeling good. Boom. Good morning to you and Jamie. Good morning, chat. And I will not accept any slander of Unreal from music and any other people in the chat. So,
well, you know what? You don't have to, sir, because you know what? Before we get into the big topic of the show, what I want to do is Jamie and I have been, for the last 25, 30-ish minutes, gushing over The Outer Worlds 2. And I told you when we were talking in the green room, I was like, listen, I'm reviewing it, so I'm under embargo. I can't say anything. And so I did, and I kept with my word. But I'm like, Umber, this is an Umber game. This is an Umber and Boom game. I want to know what your experience has been so far. How many hours have you played? Because I'm 4 days, 12 hours so far and I'm in my second run.
nice.
I rerolled another character.
Already.
This game's got me, dude.
Nice. I actually haven't put a ton of time into it, but I got about 3 hours in.
Okay.
And I'm going to get some more after the show. I'm liking it a lot, man. I got to say, visually, we knew it was going to be great because Unreal, right?
I mean, well, there you go, sir.
Despite the chat trying to rile me up, I see you guys. I see you, big man.
They're coming for you so early. You just got here. What happened?
Yeah, I see you all. I see you, Day Reezy. And that's right, Thanaros. I heard the slander coming, and I got up like, hold on, Unreal needs me. But no, I mean, visually it's nice, right? It's gorgeous, as we expected it to be. Then the thing that I will say, and I was having this discussion with a few folks, and Lucius Augustus.
Yes, a gentleman of a man.
we had a great discussion, man. Well, I want to say not even discussion; it was a great debate, and
he's good for that, man. The guy is
he
sharp
is.
as a tack,
He
very, very,
is.
very tactical in how he breaks down things.
He is. I often tell him he's a filibusterer. That's not a word, but he filibusters his debates. He'll keep speaking for a long time. I'm like, okay, you got to wrap it up, brother. It'll be like Dave Chappelle, wrap it up, pull out the wrap it up sign. But we were having a discussion about Bethesda games, and Obsidian typically makes games that are in the same vein of, not, I want to say in the same vein. They're similar in some ways to Bethesda games, Obsidian, and the approach to I guess narrative direction in some ways. I think Obsidian is kind of more lighthearted and comical in ways, but they have some similarities, and that is that kind of zoom into the character you're talking to thing they do. But the thing is that I was saying, we were speaking about Starfield. And I said, I love Bethesda games. As you all know, I've said it many times that the Elder Scrolls Oblivion is on my Mount Rushmore. So I have love for them, period. It's not something I'm just saying or something like that. But I look at Starfield and I have well over 400 hours in that, and I'm like, the one thing that I keep going back to that I wish Starfield would have had and Bethesda could have done with the 8.5 whatever years they had working on the title is actually had some stronger cinematic storytelling, be it CGI, be it in-game engine, whatever, in-engine storytelling, something like that. I think would have helped elevate it to that next level. Typically what you would get in Starfield is, oh, this major event happens, and then, okay, let me talk to this major person. Let me zoom into their face. Yes, this event happened, and what your choice caused this. And it's like, all right, I would have loved to have seen it. And that's the one thing I dislike. And one of the things I think authors typically say, or at least people who putting out movies, is, show, don't tell. Like, we want to see this. And they didn't do that there. So that's the only thing I had that I was like, But here in the Outer Worlds too, I said all of that to say, playing through the first act or whatever, or the first, I guess you want to say maybe tutorial section, maybe, this crazy cutscene happens where, I'm not going to give it away for those who didn't play it, but you see this crazy cutscene. It's like, oh man, that looks really, really good. And I was like, and I asked someone who had been playing, I said, am I to expect more of that? They like, yeah, you're going to see more,
yes,
cutscenes that show some stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I just wish that Starfield would have done more of that, being honest. So we were having this discussion. He was like, no, you want that? Go to another game. I'm like, man, I want all the things that Bethesda gives me, but that too. I want it all. I'm greedy, as I've said many times. But yeah, for so far from what I've seen, it looks really polished. I did have to get my I guess tamper with the settings because I was getting a little screen tear for those who are going to talk about Unreal, but I had to adjust because my frames per second and all that were a little higher than my I guess my TV was.
I haven't gotten any of that on the console, to be honest with you. I've been playing at 40 frames.
Yeah. So I got it. I put it down to like 60 just to make it safe, and I put on the what was it? The VSync corrected it. Yeah. So, but it's looking great, man. I'm playing it on, of course, PC, but it looks really good. It sounds good. I'm loving everything so far about it. I can't wait to get more into it and get further into it. By the way, I heard you guys were speaking about Game of the Year briefly. What was that about?
I was just saying, that we don't think that because it's so stacked this year, and when you talk about RPGs, the one that's going to run the gambit is probably Expedition 33. That this, again, after over 100 hours of play, which is what I have so far, I'm in the second planet of my second reroll. I think this has Game of the Year quality written all over it. In any other year, I think it does win Game of the Year, at least RPG of the Year. I think it's strong enough as a title to be in the running, in the conversation. Now, you're going to get trolls in here like, oh, but it's an 80 something. Listen, this game is an epic RPG romp. It is something that does not come along very often. And I would say that it is probably the best RPG that I can think of that Obsidian did before this was Fallout New Vegas. As much as I love Avowed, and I think Avowed is freaking a treasure, this beats Avowed for me. It's just that good.
Is that good, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I want to get further into it and you know, judge it. I enjoyed Avowed as well. I'm your average Avowed enjoyer. But Avowed also, I think, got slept on. I don't think it got enough love that it deserved, honestly. But I'm definitely going to give this more time and try to digest it and see where I land. For me, definitely, I am still on the Expedition 33 Game of the Year train as well. So, but I wouldn't doubt your words here. Definitely early in, like I said, very early. So I'm going to see how it is once I get further in and enjoy it. Just to throw it out there, I know Everborn, one of the things he had gripes wise with Avowed was that.
Oh, I know what you're gonna say. The rock and the voice.
He did not like that disembodied.
You know, if you say that to him, he pauses. Like he's triggered by that.
Yeah,
he does not like it. You know, it's funny. I swear to God, I'm not making this up. A couple days ago, we were talking, and I made mention of it, and he's like, "God damn it, Boom! Why you got to bring up that voice and that rock?" I'm like, bro, like you gotta show show me on the rock doll where this man touched you, because my God.
Sepidol got to him. I was like,
oh my goodness,
like he's gonna pray to everybody but Sepidol. I'm like, all right, you don't like Sepidol to God, okay. But yeah, I don't think he finished it for that reason. It was too much for him for that. But yeah, I mean, listen. Even all that aside, Obsidian, man, what a year for them right here. If we're talking about Microsoft,
all of them are good, dude. They're all highly rated games. People are enjoying them. They're loving them. Yeah.
If we're talking about like Microsoft being Publisher of the Year, which I believe they should be,
they're probably going to win that award.
They should. They should.
They 12 games at minimum, and there could be one or two more in there that are surprises, bro. Look, I've been only YouTube. I've only been having a YouTube channel for the last 8 years, right? Like 8 years. November 3rd is our first video from start to where we are now. But I've been gaming since '78. I got to tell you, folks, as great as Nintendo was in their first party and PlayStation with their first party, and some of the other bigger publishers, I don't think there has ever been a year in all of gaming that I could remember that one publisher has put out 12 games ever. I don't remember that. So, yeah, they should win.
They definitely should win. And I would say in that regard, Obsidian may have to be like developer of the year for putting out this many quality
games, dude.
Yeah, it's crazy. We don't really see such workhorse-like behavior from so many studios nowadays. I mean, it's also because of the bigger scope of some games, things like that, right? But like, this is pretty impressive, I have to say.
Their list of games is so vast, right? Like you have smaller titles like South of Midnight. You have the Hectics remake, or the remaster. You have big bombs like Avowed. You have big bombs, like The Outer Worlds 2. You have another remaster in there by Gears of War Reloaded. There is so much to really like. At the end of the year, you're closing it out in a couple of weeks. We got, Call of Duty Black Ops 7. It's an onslaught. But look, ladies and gentlemen, we got a big topic to get into. And obviously, you can see by the title, it goes on to say, Trusted Gaming Insider details the next generation Xbox. And apparently, it's 6 times more powerful than the PlayStation 6. Folks, that's a really big deal. Again, take everything with a grain of salt. I'm going to break down who posted it, where it came from. I'm now following a guy that I didn't know was a YouTuber that has a pretty big channel. I think it's as big as mine, to be honest with you. And we're going to get who that is, what he posted. But I do want to catch up on super chats and channel member chats. And once again, thank Lethal Papa for carrying a very big band stick, but walking much like a ninja. We had a couple of trolls in the chat earlier that wanted to talk about Metascore instead of actually playing games. I think that the majority of these PlayStation, or the ponies, as I don't like to call them, but sometimes you have to call them to the carpet. These ponies not only embarrass themselves by coming into not only other people's chats, but on social media. And none of these ponies, especially some of the really, ones that actually have YouTube channels, like the super mega ponies, you never see them ever post any gameplay. You never see them ever post a video of them playing their favorite game, or even screenshots. You just never see that.
Those are the hooved hooligans I spoke of.
Yes, the hooved hooligans, sir. You should actually have that coined. You get a quarter every time someone says
hooved. I got hooved brothers and hooved hooligans. Hooved brothers are those who are
I feel so sad for those people. Honestly, that
they don't enjoy gaming, man.
These it's crazy.
Complain.
Yeah.
It is quite annoying. It's the same. It's in the same. I look at it in the same vein of the grifters that are out there disrupting gaming discourse. They're like just under them. The grifters are far worse, but they're right under them with that, right?
It's a shame.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so again, this is going to be a big topic, folks. We're going to spend the last half of the show on it, but we're going to get into the super chats first. Starfield Guy drops a very generous £5 super chat. Starfield Guy goes on to say, my God, Steam is like stepping through the wardrobe in the gaming Narnia, isn't it? I've been buying everything on there since getting my ROG Ally X. Welcome to Steam, brother. I don't buy very much. I bought a few so far, a couple of recommendations. I just have so many games that I don't want to wait, but I'm glad that you're finding it. It's going to really change how, and see, this is interesting. The Starfield Guy is a great test case here. Very, very, and he's mirroring what I think of Steam. Why Xbox opening up their ecosystem to these other stores and allowing you to natively play all of your games, but also play your Steam library, your good old games library, Epic Games Store, and there's probably going to be more, right? There's going to be more there. I was never a Steam customer. I would occasionally, like when there was Resident Evil collection. I told you, I think I told the story a couple of times. I think they had every Resident Evil for like $20. Like I'm not going to play them, but I mean, how can I say no? And Starfield Guy is onto something here. Like there's so many games. I have a stat. I actually have to find it that someone put out that I sent myself to say why Xbox is doing this multi-plat thing, and it makes sense. Folks, the horror stories from developers that came and went on Steam are just unbelievable. We're not going to talk about it today, but I'm going to probably talk about it in the upcoming weeks because it is a story that needs to be put out there. But thank you, Starfield Guy, for the generosity. J-Mac in the chat drops a very generous $2 super chat, and he asks, how do you change to third person? See, I actually didn't know that. You got to press on the controller, hold down the back button, and where you have the start and the back button, hold down the back button, and you'll see it'll go to the close-up third, and if you press it and hold it again, it'll bring you to the one that's a little bit more further out. I played with the one in the middle. There's the first person, there is the third person that's a little closer, kind of like the Sony games, and there's the far away third person one. I don't like the far away one. And first person is good, but I'd rather play in third person. So yeah, hold the back button. Eris_EMS, who not only normally gifts so many subs, he has been a channel member himself for 20 months. So Eris_EMS, thank you for not only providing the ridiculous amount of subs that you do. We super appreciate that, but also being a subscriber yourself. He says the gaming engine doesn't matter as long as the game itself is good and fun. Yeah, I mean, that's phenomenal. I agree. I think that there are some gaming engines that do it better. But I do have to say that if the game is just fun, it doesn't really matter. Great point of view, brother. Day Reezy in the chat has been a channel member for 8 months. Day, nice to see you here, brother. Thank you so much for hanging out as you always do. He says Umber can't see the slander because his eyes are glazed over by working graveyard shifts. The Unreal Engine tax isn't real. It's all in your mind.
That's a lie. That's a lie. And listen, I might not be able to see it, but I can hear it. Just fine.
At least you can. That's true. You can hear it.
I can hear the typing that you all did of Unreal. It comes through the sound of the keyboard.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. That's funny. Will the Broke Boy Lewis, aka Look at Me, the Broke Boy, drops a very generous $2 super chat. He says, Indy got a golden joystick ultimate game of the year nom. Yes, it did, brother. And I mean, again, we'll see. It's probably going to win some awards. It should. The game is so good. The DLC, I started it. I did not finish it because, again, it's just my life has been topsy-turvy. But I gotta finish the Giants DLC. But I very much enjoyed my time with Indiana Jones. It was everything I could possibly want and then some. J-Mac drops a very generous additional $5 super chat. J-Mac goes on to say, Starfield was my first RPG. Just started playing The Outer Worlds 2. The addiction is real. I am a Battlefield 6 fan guy. Outer Worlds 2 is effing awesome. Yeah, Battlefield 6 for me is non-existent. I played the beta. I thought it was okay. I'll play it maybe when it comes to EA Play. I know that it has not yet beaten Call of Duty. It had some high peaks on Steam, and it's going to do real good numbers. But it was number 6 on Xbox and number 7 on Xbox and number 6 on PlayStation. But you know what was number 2 for both? Black Ops 6. Apparently, Call of Duty is not dead, ladies and gentlemen. We will see. Panda Hands in the chat. Well, I've never seen this name before. Well, welcome, Panda. Thank you so much for the very generous $10 super chat. And Panda Hands goes on to say, my only concern with the next generation Xbox/PC is the preservation of achievements. I don't chase the number, but I enjoy when they pop up and the accumulation. You think achievements are here for the long haul? Yeah, the achievements aren't going anywhere, brother. I can tell you that right now. The same achievements you're getting now, you're going to get in the next generation. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with Steam games. I think Steam has their own achievement system, and I think that when you're loading a game from Steam, it will continue to be as such. But I honestly think that if it's an Xbox game, you're going to get your achievements, and all your achievement points are going to carry over. It's going to be Xbox. It's just going to be look like an Xbox, act like an Xbox, but have the power of PC. We're actually going to get into that power right now.
I just as an example to that, I mean, I still get achievement pop-ups even though if I'm playing on PC. And trust me, if I did not get them, I would complain because there's nothing like hearing that achievement pop. Honestly, I've heard Steam, it's okay. Yeah. I've heard PlayStation, it's all right. And they're satisfying, but nothing comes close to the sound of the achievement pop. And actually,
especially a rare one. The diamond one.
The diamond one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But did you read J Max where he said Starfield was his first RPG?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was surprised by that. That's your first RPG, J Mac. I'm a little surprised. Yeah, that's interesting. So so Starfield was his entry into the Western RPG landscape right there. So I would suggest Mac trying out Oblivion, the remaster as well, since it came out earlier.
That's going to steal that's a life stealer.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah, it is.
The life stealer.
Yep, but I would suggest that one for sure. And of course, he's going to move on to Outer Worlds. He's saying, well, we started.
Yeah, well, we know what we're going to do. Being that you only have 3 hours in Umbra, we're going to have to, get an update possibly next week, because I know that when you start playing this, you're gonna. It's an Umbra game. It is an Umbra game because folks, this game is big. I mean, it's not limitlessly big, but it's
semi-open, right? Like
semi-open,
like how Avowed did it, basically.
Yeah, but again, being able to go to the other planets at will. Again, if you didn't finish a mission, you can go back. You're more powerful. You're doing a bounty. You couldn't. Yeah, or you can go right. Yeah, you can fly all over the place. It's great. Now you're not flying yourself like Starfield, but you can go. And again, it's just brilliant. But look, gentlemen, we got to get into this post. Now, the post comes from someone I just started following, right? Normally, you get something like Ecstasies be the one to post this. Now, maybe he did and I didn't see it. But this comes away from El Gamer Informando. And he is a YouTuber. And I have his YouTube channel right in front of me. It's a rather smaller channel. It looks like he might have just started. He has 121 videos. He has 491 subscribers. He's a Spanish YouTuber. Now, I don't know if he's from Portugal or he's from Spain. I don't know his descent, but he made a post, and now he is reposting what Kepler L2. Now, Kepler L2 is a tech poster, right? He's broken stories before, and according to El Gamer Informando, he says that Kepler L2, a reliable AMD leaker, provided some relevant data for Magnus, or the Xbox Magnus, in 2027. And this is what Kepler L2 had to say regarding what this box is going to be. Now, we've heard this in the last couple of days, gentlemen, where it is going to be native backwards compatibility. I think this is a big deal. You're going to be able to play all of your games from Xbox, from the Xbox 360, from the Xbox One, the Xbox Series S and X, and the new Xbox on this console. But more importantly, all of your older games are going to come with you. So if they're backwards compatible ready games, you will be able to play them. That is brilliant, right? That's a really big deal. That is why it's a big deal, is because it's something that Sarah Bond herself talked about: game preservation, right? Allowing you as a consumer that if you bought a game and it's in your library, you should be able to play that game. She made it abundantly clear that that is what they wanted to do, and apparently that is a big part of this hybrid of the next Xbox. But it also goes on to say, or Kepler goes on to say, is that you're also going to be play PlayStation Studio games. Now, what he means by that, and I don't think I really need to break it down, but I will, because somebody in the chat will be like, "What do you mean, Boom?" Well, if a game is on PC and it's from PlayStation Studios, you will be able to play it on this Xbox. The same way you can play any of those PlayStation games right now on your ROG Xbox Ally or Xbox Ally X, right? Now, unfortunately, they don't have smart delivery with PlayStation. If you don't, like, I own all of these games. I have Days Gone. I have all of them. If I want to play those games, I have to rebuy them, which I'm not doing. Now, if a game comes to Xbox like Spider-Man or Days Gone or Returnal, I'll buy those games. If like, for instance, yesterday we talked about Horizon Zero Dawn being the next one to come to Xbox. That's been a running rumor for months, and now the rumor has taken off once again. That could it be announced? I mean, I don't know, but if it is, I'm going to buy it. I really enjoyed Horizon Zero Dawn. I love the first one. Did not like the second one. But yes, you're going to be able to play all of PlayStation Studios PC ported games on this Xbox, right? PC games, of course. Xbox games, yes. Now, apparently, they're doing some really, really big work with AI, artificial intelligence, with the OS. It's going to be a big part of what they do moving forward with this hybrid console. Interestingly enough, it is not going to be running Windows 11, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently, and according to Kepler L2, it is going to be a Windows 12 gaming module device. That's pretty interesting. Now, why that actually has some credence is because, remember, this is 2027 we're talking about. We're still in 2025. So they have 2 years, if you count like November 4th, and maybe even if they would release it around mid-November of 27. They have full 2 years to get Windows 12 out and into this console. So, there could be some credence to this. Now, again, he has here 4 times more powerful than the PlayStation 6. Now, I read that it was 6 times more powerful. And you did hear that there were people saying that, the next PlayStation or the PlayStation 6, whatever they're going to call it, is going to be less powerful. This is not the first time we're hearing this report. So I've heard two sides of it. 4 times as powerful, 6 times as powerful. Now, the price is going to be, well, that, some people are saying it's going to be $500 PS5 and a $1,200 Xbox. I mean, a PS6. I don't think so. Because it's going to be a Microsoft produced device. I don't think it. I mean, could it be $1,000 like the ROG, Xbox Ally X? Possibly. And I know that people can be like, well, it should be more. Not really. The reason why the Ally X is so expensive is because you're trying to get all of these big things and shrink them down to small parts, right? You got a screen, you got a heat sink. You have all these extra things. You got an SSD, a small one in there. So you're trying to shrink. That's why it's so expensive, because all of these semiconductors and everything that goes into this thing are miniaturized. Whereas the console is just going to be the console. So I'm not saying that it's not going to be 1,000, because I don't know, but I don't think it's going to be 1,200. I know that's a running rumor that people have taken and run with it. I think people are wrong with that. But again, we'll know in 2 years for sure. Jamie, look, there's a lot to unpack here. The next Xbox is expected to be more powerful than the PlayStation 6. And it does seem like the PlayStation community has conceded this fact. If you follow the breadcrumbs on some of the reporting that's gone on in the last couple of weeks, everyone that has reported on this, and again, we're not going to we're not throwing any journalists under the bus here. We're not trying to do that. But it has been reported and almost accepted that, based on what Sarah Bond said about this being a premium curated device for next generation. So everyone just assumed that because she said premium, that means it's going to be $1,200. Well, we don't know what it's going to be. It could be $800. It could be $900. It could be $1,200. We don't know. But we know that it is going to be a premium device. And in premium, meaning that it is going to be running the best of the best of the best, sir. Right? And if you look at some of the articles, Jamie, it almost seems like the PlayStation community has accepted that their next PlayStation, or the PlayStation 6, even though it's going to be more powerful than the PlayStation 5 Pro, there's no doubt about that. I mean, listen, I keep saying this, and I want it to be clear. Make no mistake, the PlayStation 6 is going to be a very capable device. It is not going to be just copy and paste PlayStation 5 Pro. It is going to do everything that the Pro does, but that's just standard PlayStation. It's going to play PlayStation games, and that's it. So if that's what you want, you're going to get a more powerful PlayStation 5 Pro. That's not what I want in my life. I want what they're talking about with this Xbox hybrid, because I'll be able to play Steam games, good old games, Epic Game Store games, and all of my Xbox games. And as we've heard numerous times, Jamie, it is going to be the most powerful console on the market. In fact, it's going to probably rival some PCs out there. I'm going to get your thoughts on the report from Kepler L2 regarding power, artificial intelligence in the OS, playing out to play PlayStation Studio games, native backwards compatibility, and potentially 4 to 6 times more powerful than the PlayStation 6. And at that point, if Xbox has the power, if Xbox has the first-party games, is Xbox allowing you to play everyone else's games? Why do you need a PlayStation?
In the past, every single Xbox that's about to come out has been referred, or I should say, mainly from the Xbox One X onwards. Microsoft's always referred to their consoles as high-end. So all of a sudden, people are now running with it's going to be $1,200 based on nothing, which I can't stand. And people that do that, they know who they are, clowns. But yeah, I mean, if you could have one console that could play everything, because look, how many times over the past several years have people said, how cool would it be to have a Steam app on an Xbox? Because that's been in the conversation for many years now, even before the Xbox Series X came out. So Microsoft's or there's been rumors and talk of Microsoft leaning into wanting to do more PC-like features on their console for years. You look at what the new handheld's doing. Like, you have an Xbox-style interface, access to different storefronts. I mean, look, Microsoft, I know they say they're a cloud-first company, but if you look at everything on Xbox at the minute, and Xbox is basically a PC anyway, what we have is the Xbox UI is basically a watered-down Windows that's console-specific. So, like, I think it's just kind of the next general step, because if these consoles are x86 architecture anyway, why wouldn't you just do that? And let's talk about power. I think the power situation is going to be a bit, how should I say, delicate, because like we saw at the beginning of this generation, people were saying power didn't matter, and then last year when Sony came out with the PlayStation 5 Pro, we were told that power is amazing. So we know what's going to happen, right? If the Xbox next gen is more powerful, people are going to claim power doesn't matter all of a sudden. It's happened time and time again. Can I believe it'll be that more powerful? I mean, we'll have to wait and see. But like Microsoft, they've claimed for like the past 2 years almost that this next gen console, it's going to be a huge leap and something we haven't seen before. And if anything, if you look at the past several generations, we haven't had a huge leap from console to console. I'd say from the original Xbox to the 360. Like that was the last major jump. And you know, a lot of people this time, people say that, you know, this generation's, it kind of feels like an elongated version of last gen. You know, it's 8th gen plus, we'll call it. So like, I think Microsoft, they're knowing that, look, the multi-platform thing, we can put that to the side for a minute. Everyone knows what's happening. Like Microsoft, they're probably looking like, what can they do seriously with power to make people, you know, want this thing? And also, and this hasn't been talked about much today, is that the free online stuff, right? If you can have a ultra powerful console in an age where a lot of people are getting into these, you know, multiplayer games, like look at Arc Raiders is popping off. You have free to play games like Fortnite, Warzone, and like if you offer free online, like people might think it's not much of a incentive, but you have to remember that towards the end of the 7th generation, people were clamoring onto those PS3s because of the free online. They had all the new exclusives, but also the free online. Like people will look at the free multiplayer and think, man, I might have to get on that. But I think Microsoft is going to have to be very delicate this time around when it comes to like actually marketing this console, because look, my biggest complaint, excuse me, over the past couple of years when it comes to the Xbox Series X and S, as someone that uses backwards compatibility, as someone that thinks like backwards compatibility is Xbox's biggest feature, because they have access to games going back to the original console. You can't do that on a PlayStation. You have these little ports, and you can do that on a Switch, but they're streamed games. So like, why is it that backwards compatibility isn't featured in Microsoft's marketing material, right? So if they do have a next-gen console, which they are, that is backwards compatible with 4 previous generations of Xbox, it's going to have access to multiple different storefronts. They're going to have to let the consumer know upfront what the hell this thing does. And, you know, let's talk about the PlayStation games thing. As far as we know, Sony can't block games on what is essentially a Windows PC. So, like, and by the way, I still think Sony will port games over natively to Xbox because they'll get a bigger cut at the end. So, like, I do think we'll see both. Like, you'll be able to play, let's say, I don't know, Days Gone, the Windows edition. And then whenever it comes to Xbox, it's in Sony's best interest too. I know people will freak out, but at the end of the day, it just depends on where you want to play your games. But we'll see what happens. People will freak out. We know that. But that's just my take.
And it's a solid take, brother. I mean, look, at the end of the day, and I know I saw somebody in here, and I think that they weren't being disingenuous. He says, Felton, I think, I don't even know how to pronounce the name. He said, if power mattered, then the Xbox Series X would have sold more than a PlayStation 5. You know what? You're not wrong per se. The PlayStation 5 sold more because it's more of a casual box. PlayStation is a very popular brand. Um, these consoles, these next generation consoles, are going to be so vastly different. There's not going to be even a comparison, and I'm not talking about just power. Look, the PlayStation 5 is a great console. I own one. The PlayStation 5 Pro, I think, was a waste because it doesn't do enough, and the pisser technology is still giving developers a hard time. Right? No one ever talks about that, but everything that's supposed to be, pisser enhanced, it's just not. Right? The PlayStation 6 is going to be a very powerful console. There's make no mistake of that. The problem with the PlayStation 6 is it's going to be a more powerful PlayStation 5, and that is it. Now that is what Sony wants to do. They want to stay traditional. Same thing with Nintendo. Nintendo Switch 1 to Switch 2, what's the difference? You get to use the little Joy-Con as a mouse now. Okay, big deal. It's slightly more powerful. The Switch 2 is a PlayStation 4 Pro level power. Awesome, right? But the Xbox, whatever they're going to call it next, Magnus, as it's codenamed, is going to be so vastly different than the Series X and S. And why that is because it's going to look like an Xbox. It's going to act like an Xbox. It is going to have a UI that's like an Xbox. The difference is it's going to be an open source box, something we've never seen before done on a console, or at least a home console that's underneath your TV. The ability to be able to play your Steam library, your good old games library, your Epic Game Store, and all of your Xbox games from 4 generations natively is an insane thing to do. Now, I don't know how many people are going to buy a $900 or $1,000 Xbox, but you see, this is where the OEMs come in, because the OEMs are going to be from who? Dell, Alienware, Lenovo, Asus, and they are going to be able to come in at a cheaper price. Because, like I said, I keep using this as an example, Umbra, and I'm going to hand you over to Mike and get your thoughts on this now. But you take, for instance, the Surface laptop. The Surface laptops are incredible pieces of technology, but you know what they are? Very expensive. And if you can't afford one of those, well, you can go buy an Acer, you can go buy a Dell, you can get an Alienware, you can go get a Lenovo. There's a host of manufacturers that make OEM Microsoft devices, Windows devices that you can go get and get similar specs, just cheaper, right? Get a pre-built. And that is the same ideology that Xbox or Microsoft is going to be using for their next generation console. That's why they've already started talking about OEMs. And that's why we're going to get our first OEM, at least it's a rumor, next year. Right? We already have the handheld OEMs, which is a partner device. I think next fall, you're going to get a Asus underneath the TV box device. That's just me spitballing. I have no proof of that, but they've already partnered with them for the handheld. Makes sense for them to partner with them for this underneath the TV box that's rumored to be coming out next year. The 2027 is what we're talking about here with this. This console is going to be powerful. And like I said, I'm not being facetious or console worry at all. But if you just look at the way the goalpost has been moved for PlayStation and how they've been dominant. They've been a dominant force in gaming. There's no doubt about it. But, first it was games. PlayStation had a lot of amazing games. You might not think so, but I like those games. So I consider them to be amazing games. Then something happened. Management happened. People were, in positions they shouldn't have been in. People were fired. Ideologies were changed. They were chasing a trend for, gas games. It failed, blew up in their face. People got fired, right? They had to repivot. New management came in. Now the money people are like, what's going on? You're wasting all this money. Concord happens. Big changes have to happen. Bungie failed, in my opinion, experiment, $3.5 billion of a mistake, right? They have not produced anything that has been, won any awards or rampant. People are playing. Destiny's fallen off a cliff. So Sony is in a bit of a pickle, right? So they lost the first party narrative, and they're barely holding on to a power narrative with the Pro. And the Pro, yes, it's more powerful technically than the Series X, but most of the reason it's supposed to be powerful or more powerful is because of the PSSR technology. And every time a game comes out, that's not working. It's stuttering. It's crapping out. So it's not a good tech. So the next Xbox is going to have the power narrative. They're going to have the consumer-friendly narrative with Xbox Game Pass, and they're going to hold the narrative of first-party games, not just on their own console, but they're going to be putting their games on everywhere. And just like this year, PlayStation is going to find themselves behind the eight ball because their best-selling games are not going to be their own first party, because they literally told you that they're putting out one AAA bomb per year. That's it. Outside of whatever smaller titles they're going to make internally and whatever partnered stuff. Xbox is going to have the first party games in an abundance. They have the power, and they have the consumer friendly Xbox Game Pass. They hold all of the cards for next generation. Nobody wants to admit this, and this new information proves it even further. Umber, let's get your thoughts on the Kepler L2 report.
Yeah, I mean, not a bunch to go off. I don't know this gentleman that posted this too much.
No, me either. But again, he's just literally breaking down what Kepler said.
Right. So just based off of Kepler, I mean, we know that he's fairly reliable, obviously. That and some of the things we're seeing here, obviously, we have already read, the thought of native backward compatibility. Obviously, we knew about PlayStation games being playable because, Steam and other storefronts would allow it, and PlayStation is not going to try to be like, nope, you can't do this, Xbox. Of course, PC games, Xbox games. So in the whole AI with the OS, these things we've heard of. Now, the Windows 12 gaming module, like a specific kind of Windows kernel, Windows 12 kernel is a little surprising, seeing how we're still in Windows 11.
Mm-hmm.
I would wonder how that's going to play out, but if that's the case for that, I don't know how that's going to work. Also, the thought of it being 4 times more powerful than the PlayStation 6. I did see rumor that it would be more powerful than the PlayStation 6. I don't know how much that would be, but if 6 times, I'm weary of that claim, but we'll see. But everything, again, from what I'm seeing from it, it is it's just more reassurance to me that they're going to go out with a bang, so to speak, with the next gen console. Also, too, just to throw it out there, a brother has dubbed it the Xbox Fusion. Shout out to those who carry my name out there in the Twitter streets. I've seen you. Shout out. But I feel like a lot of that is true. I don't know how. Again, his post is a little tinged in console war a bit. That's also one of the points was, I think, PlayStation fanboys tears or something like that. So okay,
yeah, well, I didn't read that because again, it's a little console war. You know what? But you know what? Again, just for some context, I have some additional information that was in this Kepler post that I have in front of me that I kind of want to read. That's not coming. It's literally coming from Kepler L2. Now, the launch window, according to Kepler, is November of 2027, potentially after a limited initial release late 2026. I don't know how true that is. The architecture of this next Xbox, as you call the Fusion, is going to be Zen 6 CPU cores and RDNA 5 with UDNA graphics architecture. The design itself is going to have an APU that will feature a chiplet design, which is, again, according to Kepler, significant departure from the monolithic design rumored for the PlayStation 6. It's a modular. It says this modular approach is intended to allow for easier hardware upgrades in future console iterations. Very PC like. But this is where it gets interesting.
Yeah, that tells me. I mean, I would think that would mean like much like with the PlayStation 5, we'd be able to upgrade the memory. Put in SSDs and stuff like that.
Yep,
that's what I'm thinking. I mean, it would be even greater if that was possible at all to upgrade the GPU or something like that. But this is going to be an APU situation, so I don't know if that would work unless they have some type of. I wonder if they could have some type of port where you can still plug up something and get an upgrade. I
don't know so much about that, but I think the reason why they're going OEM is because you will be able to make a made-to-order box. I think that if you're someone like me and you are a fan of Alienware, and they give you say, hey, you go to alienware.com, which is now Dell, and you say, I want this Xbox, but you start to build your own. I mean, you're not literally building it, you're picking parts. And you pick all the parts that you want. You want a 2 terabyte hard drive. You want this, you want that. And it's $1,300. Well, that's going to be vastly different than someone that wants a base model at potentially $600 or $700, right? Just like PC, there's going to be, starting PCs, mid-range, high-end.
That's a good idea, actually. If I upgrade, if I get the next Xbox like that, I'm like, listen, I got my HP Lovecraft. It's not gonna be Lovecraft. I got my HP Lovecraft Xbox. Get out of my way. Now, to be fair though, Paris says, or you Xbox could get a PS5 and experience greatness.
Oh, I mean, well, he's become full pony bot.
Yeah, they
got to Paris.
They got our brother.
I want to start seeing him rocking some blue shirts.
Right. They finally got him. It took a while.
It took a while, but they got him. They got him. I don't know how they bribed him. Just about. Maybe they told him that he is greatness.
They wore him down.
They wore him down. I love it.
He said earlier it's going to be $5,000 for the next Xbox.
I mean, it could very well be. I mean, I don't think I would be able to. I think anyone would be able to afford that. Phil would.
Going by the modular thing you're talking about, maybe you could, right?
Look,
upgrades or something like that.
It's going to be interesting, but let me just read some of the other additional contact information here. So, according to the report from Kepler L2, the memory, he goes on to say, this system could feature a large pool of memory, possibly 36 gigabytes or up to as much as 48 gigabytes of GDDR7 on a 192-bit bus. The die size is what apparently is going to be a really big deal because we've heard the die size is going to be the biggest die size on any home console in the history of home consoles, according to report. The die size and cost. Magnus, according to Kepler L2, is projected to be the largest consumer console APU ever, around 408 millimeters. Due to its size and chiplet design, it's expected to be more expensive to produce than its competitors, which could be a result in a higher console price point, potentially blurring the lines between console and high-end gaming PCs.
I can see the arguments now from our Xbots and ponies and hooved friends, should I say? I'm going to be. My die is bigger than yours.
Oh God, please!
Size does matter.
Oh wow, pause, drop it on the table. Let me see what you got.
Right, plop. Yeah, take that, hooved. Hooligans, take that.
Yeah, oh my God, this is great.
I mean, hey, listen, I'm all for it. This sounds beautiful to me. I'm very very. I don't want to. Let me choose my words right after this thing. All I was going to say, I'm very open. Hold on, wait. I'm very.
That's the giant pause right there. Wait a second, it's PG-13.
I had to catch my words. So wait a minute. I'm very excited for next gen. I will say, see where we go. No, man. Like I said, I'm excited. I want to see more concrete evidence of everything. I believe it. I believe the specs rumors from Kepler, but I do want to see more, something official before I guess I can give more thoughts on it. But I keep going back to people should be. Xbox gamers should be excited, in my opinion,
Yeah.
for next gen, just based off the idea that you can also, not only will you get still backward compatibility, playing all your games, and I'm going to guess they're going to do the best they can. Let's see, Reezy, to allow for all of our past games to be playable, but the fact that you'll have access to this, PC storefronts and stuff like that, and PlayStation games, to me, it's just a W off that alone. I guess the thought of it being more powerful was already a foregone conclusion to me, so that didn't really. It was whatever, you know what I mean. But that's even better to hear that, and to hear that it could challenge some stronger PCs. That's a W.
Yeah.
But I come back to the point that we keep talking about, which is price. How are they going to navigate that is the challenge. Same thing with PlayStation, because when I saw the PS5 Pro, I was like, $700 for that. Next gen is going to be at least $700, if not more. That was the original thought. Now I'm hearing this, and I'm like, that don't sound like it's going to be cheap, and we already heard talks about it not being subsidized. So I just wonder, and that's why I would hope, like I said before when we spoke on this, that Microsoft works out some type of plan to allow for, early access of payment plan, if you will, to pay some of that, pay it off rather a year before. Give gamers a year in advance to pay that off, and I think that could pay off for them. No pun intended when I say it that way. For them in the long run, because plopping down, 1,000 plus or whatever it could be in this economy and what we're going through. That could. Well, I
mean, that now it's people are finding it hard to afford the current consoles because
exactly.
the prices are raised. So
there are some people still stuck on this. That's the people still stuck on the 8th gen. So like, I mean, we got to get our brothers up from the 8th to the going to the 10th now. So like that all access program, exactly, Drake. That has to be an option and not something that they allow people to pay. In my opinion, give them a year. Give people a year to do that. I think it could work out just fine if you do something like that versus, hey, we need all it up front. I don't know. That's my thinking.
Well, according to Paris Lily in the chat, says, sorry, Xbox, you pay full price. This ain't gamer layaway. Get a PS5. Oh, my goodness. He's really taken to being a troll. I don't know what happened to him.
Hey, it got to
him. Look, ladies and gentlemen, the future is bright for gaming. Yes, it's expensive. Yes, I think you're going to see some things. The risk taking that we've seen in past years, I do think is going to slow down. I think you're gonna see studios look to make smaller games, maybe not so much in scale and scope, but for instance, look, if there's anything that we learned from 2025, it's that indie games are going to be the talk of the town with the Game Awards this year. I think when you look at something like Blueprints, you look at something like Team Cherry, and their game, of course, Expedition 33. I really think that these particular titles that I just mentioned, these three, there are a couple more in there. I think they're going to eat everybody's lunch, and I think what it's going to ultimately do, I hope that it brings the indie and AA community into the conversation more, because I know a lot of people poo-poo little games because they're not AAA bombs. I play games of every ilk. That's why Game Pass is so incredible for me, because games like Blueprints, games like Expedition 33, Silk Song, these three games were all in Game Pass day and date. So whoever's working at at the team to get games into Game Pass is curating Game of the Year level content in your service. And what it's ultimately doing is giving these smaller studios the limelight, putting them in there, getting them up close and personal with the gamers. And I just love what that service is doing for me as a customer, but I love even more what it's doing for these smaller studios that get the recognition they deserve. I guarantee you that if I'm not saying that it wouldn't have been, in the Game of the Year conversation, and I'm not saying and it's just in there because it was in Game Pass, but those three games got extra shine because of how much the next games in Xbox Game Pass has become a community event. Like every time there's new games being added, everyone in the community is talking about it. Whether you're a troll or not, conversations are happening, and all you have to do is look to. And again, I don't have that story in front of me, but they had the amount of games that came out on Steam this year, and I think it's upwards of 12,000. I think that's what the number is so far. I think they said somewhere about maybe 3,000 of those games didn't even make $1,000. Think about that for a second. Like, they're battling for position there. So that's why Game Pass, I think, is so important, because it has become a community event. And even the smallest titles, like a Blueprints, is going to get shine because people are going to be talking about it. And I love that. But look, a big thank you to everyone that's in the chat, hanging out here. We had almost 700 people watching live on a Tuesday afternoon. That is freaking amazing. We're still growing. Again, like I said earlier, I don't ask that you play Outer Worlds. I actually demand that you play Outer Worlds. Now, of course, I'm kidding, but please play that game if you like open world RPGs. If you are someone that, as much as I love Fallout as a series as a whole, and again, Todd Howard is probably going to give me the stink eye when he sees me the next time. My favorite Fallout game has been and probably always will be Fallout New Vegas. And I'm telling you, anyone that is a fan of that game, that DNA is baked into what the Outer Worlds 2 is, and everything that you would have wanted them to fix in the original has been fixed in the second one. The gunplay, the choices, how you sneak around, stealth. It's just graphically, it's gorgeous.
I did a bunch of that stealth, by the way.
What's that?
I did a bunch of the stealth. Also, the time dilation is pretty dope. I mean,
it's pretty dope. That's one of many things that you can get, but there are some like gadgets that you can totally miss. There's a double jump gadget in the first planet that
I heard about that, actually. Somebody told me
you can miss that, dude. You could totally miss that. And the whole game, like Jamie said earlier, you can go through not double jumping, and that double jump is huge in some of the other planets.
Okay, yes. I'm gonna have to look out for that. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, we'll talk on the DM, bro.
For sure. I was going to say too, with Outer Worlds, from what you're saying there, what was I going to say? One thing I would like for Obsidian to do, though, they don't typically do that from what I've seen in their games, is open their games up to like romantic options. I know I might be one of the simps in here talking about that.
No, I think that's a fair choice. That's a fair point. You don't really get that, and there again, it's interestingly enough, they don't really do that. That's really like a Bethesda thing. But I think you're onto something. I would like to see that actually happen.
Yeah, I just like the more robust options. Like if you want to go that route, you could. I know they don't typically go that way, but I would like for them to kind of go further in on options and stuff, but that's just me, maybe.
It's a fair want. I don't see anything wrong with that. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, a big thank you to all of the super chats, channel member chats, and gifted subs that we have gotten on today's show. Mrs. Boom and I do greatly appreciate it. A quick reminder, this Friday, we're doing Mrs. Boom's birthday bash, and we are giving away $300 worth of digital gift cards. And all you got to do to win, folks, is be in the chat and put in the well-guarded secret hashtag that we have that we will drop into the chat early. Well, I would say maybe about 9:30 before the show goes live, so people can start retweeting it and putting it out there. All you got to do is put that hashtag into the chat. The picker from StreamYards will pick your name. If you win, you win. It's going to be 8 $25 Xbox gift cards, and there are 2 grand prizes. It's 2 $50 gift cards. So a total of $300 worth of gift cards that we're giving away to celebrate Mrs. Boom's birthday, which unfortunately was last Saturday, but she was sick as a dog, so we postponed everything to, obviously celebrating her this weekend, but of course having the event this Friday. And listen, folks, all you got to do, again, we can't do any of this if it wasn't for the generosity of the people here in the chat. So thank you so much for the generosity, as you always do. But Jamie Moraine, let's have the brand, brother. Tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because now we are in sync because we fell back this weekend and you fell back the weekend before. You have a podcast called the All Things Xbox podcast where you guys get together, you and Logan Meyer. And folks, if you like positive, fun, engaging conversation, you need to check out the show, because not only do they have a great time going back and forth talking about, the regular stuff like Splinter Cell not having a game since, 100 years ago, or when is the next Mass Effect coming out. They usually have a ton of topics. Usually it's between 14 and 17. Jamie Moran, sell the brand, brother. Where can people tune in for tonight's show? And more importantly, follow you guys on social media.
Yeah, thanks, Boom. It's always a pleasure. Yeah, so unfortunately, tonight's podcast isn't happening. Logan went to the dentist recently, so
oh no,
not having a good time. But we are going to go live on Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, excellent.
Cover everything that's going to basically happen over the next few days, which might be a lot of stuff. It's always a fun time over there on the Elusive Gamer YouTube channel. All Things Xbox podcast at 6 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays normally, but yeah, this Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern. I also have the big video I've been working on, which comes out tomorrow. Hope people enjoy that. I've been making it for the past month, so
okay,
yeah,
nice.
Hope people pay attention to that one. They'll enjoy it. Positive Xbox stuff, and yeah, that should be out tomorrow. I think around 6 p.m. Eastern. But yeah, that's on the Elusive Gamer YouTube channel.
Well, we look forward to Thursday and hearing what you and Logan are going to be talking about. I'm sure there's going to be more information breaking in the next couple of days. I mean, again, if there's anything we've learned from this year, it's been no week is really not have any information. There's been some down weeks, sure, but even those have had some big conversations to be had. And listen, Umbra, let's sell the brand of the Fix Thursday evenings, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with you and Daniel J. McGee. You also have a new member that you will have a part of the podcast, and we want to get some information on them. Sell the brand, brother. Where can people tune in to get all of the hot off the presses information, not only for gaming, but for pop media? I mean, obviously pop culture is a big part. Lots of stuff going on. Supposedly, we are getting a 3+ minute Doom trailer during the Avatar 3 Fire and Ash, which is releasing in December. Supposedly next month we're getting a new Spider-Man trailer for what's happening for these two films next year, which I cannot wait for. Doomsday is going to be insane. Spider-Man, No Way. Well, it's not No Way Home. It's what the hell's the name of this one? No Way Home was the last one.
Oh, this one is Brand New Day, I heard, right?
Brand New Day, which again, if you're a fan of the comics, and I am, there was some Mephisto stuff in there, and Mephisto just showed up in Ironheart, so I don't know, but it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, like you said, hot off the presses, like you said, and we're going to keep it hot and steamy.
Oh, there you go. Look at you.
I'm sorry, I did that. I had to play off what we were saying earlier. But no, yeah, guys, come by and check us out. We'll go live this week. We did not go live last week, man, but we're definitely going to. We had a bunch of conflicting things from work and everything from everybody, so we couldn't go live, unfortunately. But come hell or high water, as they would say, I'm definitely going to go live this week, even if I'm short some cast members, some panel members. So come by Thursday, 8 o'clock Eastern, as Boom was pointing out on the Fix. Myself, Daniel J. McGee, and our newest member, Crusader, as he was alluding to. Check us out. We have a good time. I know some of you all definitely come by. If you have not subscribed, which shame on you. Why wouldn't you support me? I don't know. But yeah, come by, support, subscribe. Do so for Jamie as well, the Elusive Gamer tag. He posted it right there. Support us, hold us down.
Absolutely.
All love. Thank you all in the chat. Paris, put 3,000 down on my next Xbox, would you?
There you go.
A permanent loan, if you will. I'll give it back to you never. But yeah. But yeah. Thank you all in the chat for holding us down, though.
Well, we definitely appreciate you jumping in. Gladly you got your situation fixed up with Comcast, because they almost threw you a screw in. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here. Hopefully you enjoyed the conversation enough to hit the like button. If you're not already subscribed to Double Barrel Gaming, Mrs. Boom and I would greatly appreciate a sub, because we are 3 away from being able to say that we're at 16.3, which would make us officially 700 subscribers away from 17K. And you can help us get there by simply hitting the subscribe button. And of course, before you get on out of here, hit the like button. Or if you didn't like the conversation, hit the thumbs down button, because I guess engagement is engagement. But of course, for Jamie Moran, for the Outer Umbra, and myself, we want to wish everyone a great gaming day. Play games on whatever console you enjoy gaming. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully one day will be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.